Hello, Kotaku! Hi, it's Heather Alexandra, and I'm here to talk about a fun game and just spend some time with you and have a good time. This is Headlander. This is a new game by Double Fine and Adult Swim Games, and it is bonkers. If you're interested in playing it, it's out on Steam and on the PlayStation 4 right now. Don't know if it'll come to Xbox One or anything. I hope it does, because it's pretty interesting. As you can see, I just flew around as a disembodied head and yoinked off somebody else's head and jumped right onto their body. And that's basically the main mechanic of this game, is that you're basically just this floating head, and there are these bad guys, and there's a robot AI named Methuselah, blah blah blah. But the big conceit is that you can hop from body to body like that, and you do that to solve puzzles or to handle certain combat scenarios or anything like that. The game is a puzzler and side-scrolling shooter that's also kind of a Metroidvania, and for the record, that's a weird term. I don't know if I like Metroidvania as a term for a genre, because I think there are actually Metroidvania games that do that like very same thing better than both Metroid and Castlevania, but that's a whole other topic, and maybe I'll talk about it one day, who knows. Here, I'm just deactivating some scanners because I need to get to a satellite. That's all we're doing in this section, is I need to get to a satellite and align a satellite so I can talk to my crazy, like, mission control guy. And as we do that, we'll talk about this game and sort of how it works. So here's a orange door. I can't go through this orange door because I am only at like clearance level red. And so the way that doors work in this game is that they work by sort of the ascending values or descending. I don't know how it would technically work scientifically, but it's the Roy G. Biv thing of the rainbow, right? Red, orange, yellow, green, blue, violet. And so if I'm red, I can open red doors, but if I'm orange, I can open orange and red doors. It sort of descends down. And I just sort of have to be in the right body for the right things, and hold on one second. Yes! Shoot all the lasers! Oh, every now and then I really enjoy a good feast of particle effects. So I need to find the right places to be, and I also have to aim my gun and be careful because the orange like lasers they also do more damage, right? So like my red laser isn't as strong as my orange laser. I'm gonna try and maybe sneak up on this person, but no, actually I'll just grab this body. That'll be okay. I'm gonna fire my red laser. Pew pew. Actually, they're really strong. I think they're gonna take out the body. But, so let's just talk a little bit about how this game sort of came to be, or how I envision it came to be. This game is directed by a fellow named Lee Petty. And Lee Petty was also the project lead on a game called Stacking that Double Fine did, which was sort of another puzzle game where you had to inhabit different bodies. You played as a Russian nesting dolls, and like say if you wanted to go to a certain place and you wanted to have access to a certain area, maybe you would have to jump inside a police Russian nesting doll and you could get access to a certain area or whatever. And then there was also a game that Mr. Petty did for something that Double Fine calls Amnesia Fortnite. And they actually have documentary series on this process, which I kind of recommend watching. They're kind of interesting. And it's where they stop what they're doing at the studio for like 2 weeks, and then they just come up with projects that they want to work on. And Lee's was a project called Autonomous, where you were in a junkyard and where you were assembling all these robots and putting them together piece by piece. And so there's this sort of, lacking a better term, notion of like modular mechanics, which I just phrase it that way because I like the sound of alliteration. It's not like an actual term. It's just me trying to sound fancy and pretentious because that's like my job. But there are these things where sort of you have access to a space. I'm complicating it here too. I can just walk back and forth with my orange dude. I don't need to actually use the orange dude to bring my red dude through, but I can. So that's one way to do it. Honestly, you just walk through with the orange dude, head over there, shoot up, and then shoot the door. Anyway, modular mechanics. This idea of having a game space and then having your relationship with that game space sort of recontextualized based upon like the character that you are, or say the costume that you are inhabiting. This isn't necessarily like a new concept by any means. In fact, there's a great example of it in modern games, like a big modern franchise is based around this idea. And that's the Hitman series of games, where basically you have big ass levels, like most of the time anyway, big ass levels, with a bunch of different pathways, and you can like sneak around if you want to, but the main draw is that you have all of these access points in all of these areas that you can or cannot access depending on your disguise. Like, the disguise stuff there partially exists so that you can have like recovery periods from like getting detected, but it also exists like explicitly to limit and redefine or open up like where you can or cannot go in the world. If you want to go backstage at some place, you can dress up as the construction worker, or you can dress up as like a security guard, and those are valid paths. But then there are also certain interactions that are only limited to like unique costumes. In the new Hitman episodes, there's a fashion show, and you can walk down the catwalk. I mean, granted, you can probably just run down the catwalk whenever the hell you want, but you can walk down the catwalk and like pose on the catwalk if you steal that guy's costume. Headlander isn't that intense, but it's that same principle, the same principle of I'm going to put you inside of a space, and I'm going to allow you to change your relationship to that space. Maybe not radically, but in ways that are important, sort of to the game's core loop of, you know, puzzle, exploration, shoot. And I will say that maybe that mixture doesn't always work completely well. I think Headlander tries to do too many things. I will say that I don't like the shooting as much as I probably am expected to. It can feel a little stiff. It's reliant on aiming because you need to do a lot of headshots, but that also exposes your body to a lot of damage. And so the actual process of shooting is like not pretty, it doesn't feel as good as like moving around or switching bodies or anything. That's like my one major complaint with Headlander. Although this can sort of be altered and managed because, as you can see, like my body's about to explode and I blew up another guy's head, so I can just jump into another body in the middle of combat and keep shooting. And so I don't need to worry about whether or not, like, and there, I just got shot again because I'm dumb. I don't need to worry about whether or not I'm like necessarily the most accurate shooter or anything. As long as I'm hopping from body to body, like that can bring some dynamism to the combat experience that the raw shooting mechanics doesn't have. So the thing I like about Headlander is that it's able to offer sort of a satisfying way of moving around the space and changing your relationships with the space in such a way that it actually sort of balances out the negatives. And let's be clear here, it's totally fine to sit back and like criticize something for not working. I don't think the shooting in this game works. Make no mistake, I'm not trying to sort of excuse what I think is sort of bad core combat. I don't think the combat's good. But I'm not here to just shit on that. I want to see why I'm still playing this game after this video and everything. I'm going to go and play through the rest of this game, so I need to figure out why that is. Why do I like it so far? And the answer is that there's a certain ebb and flow that comes from two things. Moving about from body to body, which just sort of has a nice satisfying feeling to it. And gosh, where should I go? Is there another satellite nearby that I can do really quickly? We'll find out. But the other thing I also like is just there's something powerful about sort of the body changing mechanic, because not only does it demand that you like focus on your body in the world, like where you are in the world, but it also demands that you sort of like reconsider where you are, which is important when you spend a lot of time in the world. And gosh, I don't think I'm gonna get this, so I think I'm just going to say goodbye. Oh gosh, I'm tripping on, oh god, no.